Australia?
My occupation in Italy was a cabinet maker, and in Italy at that time was not much work, not much money, so I decided to migrate to Australia to see if I can improve their situation, more work and get a dollar in our pocket.
What was your occupation when you first came to Australia?
When I first came to Australia, it was a bit hard to sort of find work as a cabinet maker, so I started working as a concreter for a little while until I found a job as a cabinet maker. It actually wasn't a cabinet maker, it was a carpenter joiner. Worked as a carpenter joiner for a couple of years, and with that, of course, you go out in the buildings to do a bit of work in the fittings and a bit of carpentry work as well. So from that, then I started working on houses, building houses, do the carpentry work, until I started working for myself after a few years in building some houses, shops and factories.
What influenced you in becoming a winemaker, and when did this happen?
Well, after a period of time, I sort of got tired of building. I think it's not just winemaking or any other job that is hard. Building is also very hard, and I sort of wanted a bit of a change. I wanted to be out in the open, so we bought a bit of land up at near Lilydale here, and we decided to put a few vines and see what happened. The result was very, very good. We had very good grapes. We've been encouraged by other people to keep going and plant more. So that's how I started to make wine, because I had to somehow, because we had the grapes. We had to do something with it. So we hurried up and made a course in winemaking. So you can sort of a course in winemaking and wine appreciation, and try not to make too many mistakes. And here we are today making premium wines in a small winery. Of course, we had to plant more vines.
Yep.
And the wines are doing very, very well, actually.
Okay. When were the first vines planted?
1976, the first vines were planted. It's actually, this is some of them, the Cabernet Sauvignon, and a little bit further down is the Shiraz. We also had other varieties planted, then later pulled them out, and we kept the best that we've had. And in 1980, we made our first commercial wine out of these vines.
How has technology changed the grape growing process, or have you maintained traditional methods?
I think technology, of course, has changed quite a bit, but we have kept more to the original method. The pruning is done the same as when we started. The grape picking is done the same as when we started, by hand. We don't use any mechanical equipment.
Varieties here. What's this variety here? These?
Yes, this variety is Chardonnay. They've been planted in 1979, and you can see they're shooting quite well now. And for irrigation we use, you can see this black polythene pipe, and it's called a trickle irrigation, and it sort of drips right along the road to irrigate them. We also have a different variety here, which is called Verduso. And we actually, as far as we know, the only ones, certainly the only ones in the Yarra Valley with this particular variety. It's a wine that makes quite a unique wine, quite different from anything else that you can find in the shops. and we are very, very proud of that one. It's a very, very popular wine. Certainly a good.
And here we have the sales promotion and assistant winemaker, Tony Inglese. Is the wine industry growing, and in what ways?
Well, the wine industry in the Yarra Valley dates back to 1848 when the first vines were planted in the area. Then at that time there was a lot of vines planted, well over 100 acres of vines. Then during the Depression and the war period, the wine industry declined because of the economic conditions. People stopped drinking wines. There's been a resurgence in the last 20 years in the Yarra Valley, and now there are close to 80 odd vineyards in the area. There's about 25 wineries which actually make the wine, and some of the other vineyards actually producing the grapes and sell to the other wineries. As far as the industry in general, there's been a gradual increase in the wine industry in Australia. Wine exports have certainly increased over the last few years, although the production and consumption of cask wines has declined. So the trend is towards better quality wines, such as the ones that are produced in the Yarra Valley, and less of the cask wines that used to be produced in the past.
Right. And how viable is a wine making business nowadays?
The winemaking business at the moment is suffering through the same economic conditions as a lot of other businesses. This is mainly through high interest rates, and that any winery which has a high capital requirement will suffer because of the high interest rates.
And taxes from the government.
And also, yes, there's been an increase in taxes. The sales tax, which was introduced a few years ago, 20% sales tax on wine, has certainly pushed the price of wine up, and it hurts especially the smaller wineries which are making premium quality wines, and the price of these wines are generally high to start off with.
Yeah. And some of the costs involved, such as the bottles and labels, what are we looking at in?
Well, if you take a bottle of wine, the packaging costs themselves, I mean the bottling, the label, the cork, and the capsules, plus the boxes, it's approximately about $1.20 before we actually put any wine in. And that's the requirement if you want to make good quality wines. Now on top of that, you've got the cost of the actual casks themselves, and the cask of wine. An oak cask, which is generally imported from France, it's 225 litres to 300 litres of wine, and one of those empty casks costs about $800 this year. And they don't last forever, they're only used for 2 or 3 years to get a good oak treatment in the wines. So you can see, to make a premium quality wine, there are increased costs.
And how about labour? How do you go for pickers and crushers?
In a small winery like ourselves, the labour is, I mean, we're a small family business, and we tend to do most of the things ourselves, from growing up the grapes through making, bottling, designing labels, selling, and so forth. When it comes to the peak times like picking, then there are a lot of friends who come up and help us for the day, and also during bottling the family all helps, and so we make do that way. Yeah, the aim is to try to keep the costs down, because as soon as you start employing additional people, the costs increase, and again that eats into the profits.
How would you explain the growth in the Yarra Valley?
Well, the growth in the Yarra Valley is, some people have been saying that it's going to be as big as the Napa Valley in America. There are 2 reasons for that. One is the closeness to Melbourne, because the Yarra Valley is only less than an hour's drive from Melbourne, and also the quality of the wines in this area have been improving in the last years and been winning major awards all over Australia and also overseas. So the Yarra Valley does produce these unique quality premium wines. So that's why there's been this tremendous growth over the last 20 years.
And what are the most popular wines in the Yarra Valley?
Well, the ones we have generally planted more, according to a recent survey of all the Yarra Valley vineyards, are Pinot Noir, which is a red grape variety, and Cabernet Sauvignon, again the red grape variety, and in the whites you've got the Chardonnay. So they're the 3 predominant wines grown in the Yarra Valley, although as can see, we also have other varieties like a Merlot and a Shiraz in the reds, and we also got a Verduzzo and a Gewürztraminer and also a Semillon in the whites. Right.
And the average price range for the Yarra Valley wines?
The average, I mean, the price in the Yarra Valley vary from, say, $8 a bottle up to about $20 a bottle. So it's you could say it's relatively more expensive, but as I said before, to make premium quality wines, you've got additional costs, and that's unfortunately reflected in the price. But I mean, if you look at some of the other areas in Australia, we are trying to make similar wine styles. Their price is also quite high.
And what future do you see for the wine growing industry?
Well, if we're producing quality wines, the wine growing industry, it's a good industry to be in. But there is a lot of increased competition. What needs to be looked at, how much more wine can be exported overseas. And there are certain growing exports to Japan and to Europe over the last few years. And there is an increasing trend because the Australian wines have got the quality mark, and also that you don't get the same health issues which you have had some of the European wines because of the fallout and other chemicals which are used in the industry overseas.
And how about competition? See, we've got a few awards here for different wines.
Yes, most wineries enter various wine shows, and the aim at wine shows is to compare the wines of various vintages of the different varieties. And as you can see, we have been pretty successful in achieving some good awards. We won, if you look at the various gold medals and the bronze medals, silver medals, and also we won a couple of trophies of some of our wines. What it means to us is that we've been able to achieve a certain quality, and we're maintaining that high standard of quality over the years, and we are improving. As far as the consumer is concerned, they really shouldn't regard so much the awards, but really what wines they like, because we all have different palates and different noses, and we all smell and taste differently. So it's really whether you like the wines yourself.